Hello, everybody. My name's Milan Starcic. Welcome to Freedom Rising, a podcast dedicated to empowering individuals on the journey to personal growth, lasting serenity, and freedom from addiction. Tune in and join the movement. Your journey to freedom starts here. We neither represent, promote, or demote any 12-step program or organization. We are merely souls on the path of recovery with the desire to expand our lives and experiences and share them with you. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 102nd Recovery Freedom Rising podcast. I'm Milan Starcic with co-hosts Scotty N and Bryant W. Today's topic is amends. Mr. Bryant, would you please share what this means to you and why you are happy to discuss this here today?
I shall. Good to see you, fellas. And it's a very, very cool topic. I think it's one of the hidden treasures of doing the step work in regards to alleviating oneself of bondage to the past. When it was brought to my attention that, there was a combination of rigorous honesty and then the willingness to make right and take responsibility for areas of my life where I had kind of fallen short and or potentially harmed somebody else. At first glance, I think we often sort of joke around about how nice it would be to have everyone that's ever harmed us apologize to us. Like, what a gift that would be. How relieved would I be? How free would I be if everyone that's hurt me took responsibility for that? Except, unfortunately, it's quite the opposite of that. It's our chance to do it, and with no expectation of it coming back in return. I believe for myself, it allowed me to move forward in a way that I wasn't able to prior to doing that. I no longer had the plague of some of the mental kind of, I believe a lot of our sense of self is played out in our mind, and it's very, very, very good at reminding us of the mistakes we've made. So what a gift it is to actually face to face, if you're lucky enough, confront areas of your life that you're being honest about where you could have maybe, created some discomfort in someone else's life. And then to get that feedback, whether it's positive or negative, you get to kind of move forward. Like, it's almost like starting from scratch with life again. It's like, I've done my part. I've reconciled with what I'm capable of. I've taken responsibility for what I'm capable of. And I'd like to move forward knowing that I'm going to live from here on out in a way that I previously didn't, hopefully not making those errors again. Obviously perfection is hard, but I just think it's a really, really, really neat way to alleviate ourselves from that image of who we were before and get back on track and try to have a new relationship with ourselves and other people moving forward.
I love that. That's well put, brother. And Mr. Fill Your Boots, Scoots, would you like to tell us what the topic of amends means to you and why you even chose it for today?
Good morning, everyone. So
Morning.
I chose amends because actually my wife is going through step 8, and it's also come up as a topic a couple of times in the meetings around here. So it's just kind of been on my mind. When I think about that, about steps 8 and 9, and about amends, I think about it very much along the lines of what Bryant was talking about. What I would say, if I could add to it, is saying an old friend of mine used to have that if you want self-esteem, do esteemable things.
Jim?
Yeah.
And so I think that the making amends and the trying to right some of the wrongs that we've done is a big self-esteem thing, right?
No question.
Where we don't have that dagger over our head anymore of or even the, because I don't know about you guys, but I beat myself up about shit all the time. Like
Yeah, exactly.
I'm my own worst critic.
Ooh.
So stepping into amends alleviates a lot of the shit that I would beat myself up for. It takes,
That's right.
because we identify our character defects and we identify our shortcomings and misgivings, and then we see
Mhm.
all the people that we've wronged over the years, and
Mhm.
then to be able to start curbing that in an actual physical social way. So
Right.
what about you? But what about you, Milan?
So, wow. Okay, first of all, I have missed you guys. Like, you don't even understand. I feel like this is part of a healthy way for me to start my week, to be together with you guys and to talk
Nice.
about recovery. It feels like home when we're here, and I'm grateful for both of you, and I love you both. Nobody's told you they love you this morning, guess who does? I do.
Yeah. Thank you.
Um, there's a whole lot with amends, and one thing I'm going to say is that my real turning point of my opinion of amends was there was a guy, Anz, A-N-Z, from LA, I think it is, who came on the morning meditation. And I've seen him on it twice, but this was about 14 months ago, like March, kind of maybe middle of March of 2024. And what he came
Mm.
out, it was the JFT was something about amends. And how he explained it was like how we carry our unresolved amends events, right? Like Bryant goes to call me, and every time Bryant calls me until I've made my amends with him, when I see his name on the phone,
Yeah.
it's like liar stole something
Yeah.
from him,
Yeah.
like best girlfriend in town, like like, but just like things ways that I hurt Bryant, and that's like he becomes like this symbol of that. And then for Scotty, it's like shortchanged him, like oh yeah, just used him for his food, and I love that couch, but it's like never not resolving that keeps us in this world where we're like walking on eggshells as
Yeah.
reminders of our damage, and until we can clear that shit out, we never reach a point of self-acceptance. And it's
Mm,
basically like as we can burst into that world of self-acceptance, now I'm free to start trying to love you and accept you, because I've been now accepted for these horrendous things in my mind, that I can see that the path to forgiveness is truly that right path. And then
Yeah.
and then I can start living a life with real love and acceptance in my relationships with others.
No question.
And so it's the amends are one of the cornerstones to our freedom in life. And
Yes.
there was something else I wanted to say on it, but I got lost. And you know what? We're going to be talking so much, it's not really going to matter.
Yeah. It'll pop up.
Yeah. So, Mr. Hipwaiter, would you like to ask Mr. Fill Your Boots a question? I
All
love you
right.
guys.
So, Scotty, um, mine are fairly black. Well, I guess basic, I should say. What did the amends process do to alleviate your sense of disconnection
mm.
or isolation?
Okay. That's an interesting question. Um, I think for me, it confirmed something that I had kind of learned um, earlier in recovery, where I think what I'm trying to say is that humility. So when I
Okay.
came into the fellowship, I had to be either the best at something in the room or the worst something in the room, right?
Right.
And like was mentioned about having those things, kind of having that dagger over your head or whatever. So when I was coming in and I didn't have my place, so if I was a real shitty person, and I would consider myself a shitty person, then I'm like on the lowest rung socially and that kind of stuff.
Sure.
And and then um as I got a bit of time and had that my ego got right sized, I realize that I'm just another fellow in a room of fellowship, right?
Yeah.
I don't have to be the most perfect recovering addict in a room, and I don't have to be the worst person in the room. So in doing active amends, it reinforced the fact that yeah, I made some poor choices and some I hurt people, but that doesn't make me a monster, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's what I have for that.
Nice.
I love that.
So
That was
like
amazing.
a more humble but renewed sense of self, not based on being superior or inferior, kind of.
Yeah, like yeah, and coming to terms with the fact that you know, not only have I hurt people in my life, but there's 2 steps dedicated to that,
Yeah.
right? So that means that other people have fucked people over too.
Yes. Good point. Um,
Could you please
Milan,
repeat the question? Repeat it with an L.
the
Repleting.
what did amends or the process of amends do to alleviate your sense of disconnection or isolation?
Well, I was thinking about this while Scotty was talking. The thinking about your share while someone else is sharing, but honestly, like it made me immediately think about it opening up the conversation for the pain I've caused other people.
Yes.
I think that there was some people in my life that I was avoiding. And part of it was that, like I said on almost every episode, is that I was in a delusionary state where I was really good at blaming other people for my resentments. And then finally with these tools, I was able to see my part. And I had been ostracizing some people because of the lack of reality in my perceptions. And
Yeah.
and so when I finally saw how I was the source of the disconnection and I was the source of the pain, it was absolutely only with humility that I could step forward and talk about that with other people.
Yeah.
Like it's not like, hey, guess what? We haven't been good friends for 20 years because of me. Like it's not like you go into it like that,
Hmm.
Like I was fairly humbled and had to go with my tail between my legs. But one of the things that I love about the immense process is, like this is what I did wrong. This is what I should have done. This is what I'll try to do in the future. And have
Yeah.
I missed anything? And first of all, like I'm trying to create a new action path in that relationship with that person, but I'm also ending it with trying to connect with them about their pain.
Yeah.
And so, you know, um, there's been some parts to that part of my amends that were like boom, like right a kick right in the balls, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Like it hurts at the time, but I do feel that sometimes we need to know the depth of the pain we caused and
Yeah.
not just our perception of that depth.
Well said.
And so um I don't see how it could make you feel less connected. In my opinion, like it absolutely, like, even if there's anger still from that person,
Sure.
I genuinely feel a difference, like that they know I'm trying.
Well,
And
and
they
you're
know,
acknowledging it.
like that's what I mean. Like I'm acknowledging and trying something different, right? Like, it
Yeah.
might have been really shitty before, but if you have any interest in continuing with me, I'm going to try to be different. You know, it's
Yeah.
like it's kind of like a pledge to action in a
Yeah.
way. If you're serious about it, which I hope that I have been. For the most part. So yeah, I think I'm going to leave that there, but I still love both you guys a lot.
That's awesome. Thank you. Um, yeah, for myself, I was kind of keen, obviously nervous. I went way back. Like I went back to like grade school. I didn't necessarily reach out to grade school harms, but I became really aware of like when these behaviors began and why. And it was usually because of a need to fit in or some form of like something that was important to me or an insecurity of mine was where I would clash with another human being. So even when I think about how I like if I was in a group at school and we were unkind to someone, like where was my motive there? Kind of little things like that. It was really good to start seeing how far back these things can kind of start their germination process. I just know that when I finally could see clearly after the 4 and the 5, my role in the unfolding of discomfort in my own experience that I was equipped with the knowledge I needed to face people that I typically would have just been like, we're okay, right? Like, we'll just keep going. We're not going to talk about that. And I think I was fearless and thorough. I do believe that within reason, I faced the human beings that I was aware that my actions had harmed them. And I'll be very honest, it brought me a huge sense of reconnection with life itself. It allowed me to move forward more confidently. I feel like it was a very nice, like, it was a nice way to like heal that wound from that phase of my development. Like, it's like, okay, I don't want to do that anymore. I really don't want to. It was so obvious why the things happened to me. It's like it was always because of fear, a feeling of disconnection, trying to create uh, more connection, or some sort of clash of ambition. And that happened within the family. It happened in relationships, and sometimes at work. I went to several employers. I went to ex-girlfriends. I went to my family. Um, I really did try my best to make right what had gone wrong. And I felt a renewed sense of self where the fear, like you said, that walking on eggshells and or kind of like, for me, it's all about up here. So anything like Scotty mentioned, like that self-criticism, like anywhere where I could alleviate another story or attack from my own mind saying like this is who you are, this is the kind of stuff you do, people know this about you, any of these things where the mind has the ability to trip me up. Like my entire process, everything I do now in my life is to alleviate my mind's ability to trip me up. It's not about a substance anymore, it's not about alcohol, it's about my mind's ability to convince me of things that are fear creating and self delusional, sort of like, I don't know what I'm trying to say. So yeah, I don't know, there's like I think there's like an actual like metaphysical side of our mind that actually is anti-life. Like it wants us to be in fear, and it creates disturbance in our sense of well-being. And at least that's mine. That's why I had to admit that I was insane and believe that a power greater than myself could restore me to insanity, because that's the kind of stuff that goes on in my mind. So this was an amazing process that helped me make a lot of peace with myself and hopefully the other people. I mean, I basically made it sound like I did it for myself, but I kind of did.
That was incredibly well put, BW. It really was. Mr. Fill Your Boots Scoots, do you have a question for me?
Uh, so I was able to come up with a few talking points. I don't know if they're
Yeah.
necessarily questions or not,
Oh, we love them. You know we do. Just throw it
but
out there.
I guess to start would be I think we can all agree that amends are a very important part of recovery. Why do you think they're placed in the order that they're in?
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Okay.
Like
Well,
why is it 8 and 9? Why isn't it 2 and 3? That kind of thing.
okay. Yeah. So, I mean, I think that the lineage and the order of the steps is one of the most genius parts about them.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I came in a godless bastard with no faith or hope. And that act of surrender was the first thing in step one that gave me like a lot of hope and a tiny bit of faith,
Mm-hmm.
right? And at that point, I'm still really not content with myself, but
Yeah.
I'm really happy with how I'm staying straight, you know? And so at that point, when the talk came to believe that a power greater than myself was step two, right? Like for that, like, I knew I was insane. I knew, like, by every definition, I felt completely insane at that point.
Hmm.
And I knew that by that admission of powerlessness, I knew that I didn't have the power to do it. And I think that most addicts at that point are so self-centered that they don't see other people as higher than themselves, truly. Like if you're never going to get rid of my addiction. So then for me, it kind of feels like the natural thing is that we do have to seek this power greater than ourselves for
Yes.
for for us to begin to become sane. And to be honest, it was like when my surrender was like giving me that speck of space, that first glimmer of serenity, I was like, there's something happening right here, and I'm good with that. And then turning my will and my life, like over in step three, that one was like kind of about starting to change my belief pattern in a certain
Hmm.
way for me, and that in that entering into principled action. But then you go boom into the step four. Well, how do I know what amends to make when I think everybody did it to me? I needed the tools of step four to go in and see my part in things. Like at least, even in the first round of like maybe not everything, I don't think anybody's first step four is perfect because you're coming from a pretty delusional perspective. And
Hmm.
and I do think that that's one of the reasons why I hear a lot of old timers go, "Hey, I do an annual set of steps." They actually do. I know a lot of people who have a group of like 3 to 5 people, and they kind of do it, which I'd love to do with you guys if you ever want to. But anyway, but do like an annual time, like some of them are like we do it in November so that we have the holidays like clear in our soul or whatever.
Yeah.
And I thought that that's a pretty cool thing. But until I did that, I don't even think I would have had the right list for my amends. You know, and 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 also pulling the surrender back into it and adding like more humility in those stages of 5 to 7. You know, gave I think gives you the humility, and that surrender kind of gives you the strength to walk into your amends, at least from my perspective. And then the reason why it's before 10 is because 10 is kind of the rinse and repeat of 4 to 9.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like 10 is really the daily version of like microdosing those steps. and and 11, I feel like 11 is what gives me the clarity in my growth,
Yeah.
with my higher power. So, um, it's where I build that connection. And I don't think if your amends were after that, I don't think you could build that connection as strongly with all that junk sitting in your brain,
No.
you know? And then, to be honest, I feel like step 9 being before step 12, it's like until I did my amends, I didn't think I was necessarily as worthy for service.
Sure.
Like I didn't feel that I had something to offer others. And so yeah, I think for me that's my long and short answer of that. But I liked that as a talking point. I love you, brother.
No doubt. Yeah. Great. Shall I
So
take a swing at it?
yes, please do.
It's really cool. So I agree with everything that's been said. I think that the process unfolds in a process. The process unfolds in a process.
It's processional.
Yeah, it
Self-directed.
is. So I agree. I believe that the door to walk through is an admittance of finally understanding the reality of addiction. So the knowledge of what the individual's been truly dealing with, which helps a lot. And then there's also the ego deflation, the admittance of powerlessness, and or kind of saying like, I'm not who I thought I was. And then you kind of become able to find courage and faith through acknowledging. Sometimes people have enough experience just in their like random happenings in that first chunk of time. Like you'll have a few experiences that go like, there's something more going on here. At least that's how it seems for myself and a lot of other people, which starts building that trust that like there's more going on here. Like this universe is intelligent beyond what I previously thought. Like I was relying on my own they say self will run riot and or uh what is it? It availed us nothing. What do they say?
Half
Uh,
measures.
half measures availed us nothing. So like you can start to see how like you could never have succeeded in the old way, and then so you get the faith and the courage, and then that honest appraisal of oneself. You can't, I don't think, go to somebody else until you actually fully understand what was driving your behavior, what you're doing about it now, and also have the humility to do that. And it requires all that stuff beforehand in order to do it authentically, I think, or without causing further damage. Like you said, the list may not have been, appropriate and or in the right order or all that. So I just think that the necessary items in order to do that is um, responsibly as possible is required before you do it, and I think it's in that order for a reason. um I think too it if you want to weave in the 6 and the 7, hopefully at this point you are kind of living out of a different part of your soul and maybe dropping some of your old behaviors, because I think a little bit of time sort of like in a different frame and in a different like approach to life could also build confidence in someone that's watching this happen to you. It's like, like depending on the person, we don't owe anybody anything more than why we're going to them. But like say it is your parent or say it is a sibling, they're like, this person is changing. Like I am seeing some positive change in this person. So when you go and you see them face to face, they can't help but maybe be a little more open minded to what you're actually trying to accomplish in that process. So yeah, that's why I think the order is what it is, and I think it's absolutely brilliant, because without that, I don't think it would be as authentic and or as responsible or meaningful.
Truly brilliant, the order.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
agree. Agree. So to answer my own talking point, uh, I think that by the time we hit 8 and 9, uh, we've developed a sense of empathy that we
Oh wow.
that's been nurtured throughout the steps, right? And I think that part of the reason 8 and 9 are where they are, um, because of, like it was said, like they're the last steps before the maintenance steps, right? And I feel like 8 and 9 are kind of open ended as well, where
Hmm.
because I don't know how many times this happened to you, but I've been like sitting around being like, I'll get a memory of bullying a kid in grade 5 or something. Like, oh shit,
There
I
you go.
should put that on the amends list, right? Like it's just I'll have a random thought and something will come to mind. But anyway, we're there because they're the last of the maintenance steps before the maintenance steps. So I think that part of the reason they're there is because we have to have an actual understanding of the actual pain that we cause.
Hmm.
It's not an intellectual exercise to say
No,
I did this and I'm sorry. It's like no, we have to be able to feel that, right?
well said. Yeah,
And I have an example I'd like to share uh, about that. It just came to mind.
sure.
So so Yeah, so I have a friend in meetings out here. Her name's Sarah, and she has a daughter that's in active addiction, right? And or was in active addiction. Um, and I was at a meeting, and she was sharing about stories and pain about her daughter that's in active addiction,
Hmm.
and coming at it from a mother's point of view, right? And when she was sharing, I could hear my mom's voice in her voice, right? The pain, the sadness, the fear, all those things. And I'm like, motherfucker, I put my mom through the ringer, right?
Yeah.
And I I that level of emotional awareness was something that had kind of escaped me up until that point. So I think that, you know, it's important to be able to fully understand and um, process just how our actions have actually affected
Yes.
those, you know, the people on our list. So
Well said.
I love that. I
Well,
love you guys. Ooh,
yeah,
okay.
if it's intellectual, I believe that we pick up on the subtleties of each other too. Like people know if it's coming from their heart, and like
yeah,
that's huge if you're trying to build trust again.
yeah,
Like if you
Mhm.
stole a candy bar from a convenience store and you're like, I won't come back in here. I'm so sorry. Here's $5. I'm a changed man. Like I will never do this to you again. But if it's like you're someone close to you, like it's very important that they know that what you've
yeah,
done. Yeah.
yes, yeah,
And that's where I feel like that fourth part of the amends that I was saying, it's like when you ask for, something that you may have missed that, that they're feeling, that's a really important part. Because,
Wow.
like whatever our perception is of it, we have no clue what the depth of it is on their side until we
hmm
actually ask for some input back, and they might
Hmm.
not be able to verbalize it correctly, but it's going to show you that there's more pain than what you thought there was.
Wow.
I
hmm
think, at least for me, that's been my experience. And it's that's the hardest part of the events, to be honest, for me.
Mm,
You
no
know, like
question.
I can mentally prepare myself for whatever reaction to something I'm already talking about, but then to just poof, get that thing that you weren't expecting and be like, whoa, this was way deeper than what I thought. That's not feeling good.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. Each amends is a moment of courage, a choice to rise from the wreckage and build something sacred in its place. When have you felt the power of facing someone with both humility and hope, Bryant?
When have I felt that?
Yes.
Humility and hope?
Felt the power of facing somebody with both humility and hope.
Well, yeah, that's beautiful. I just give or take, I had this really interesting timing where I got an invitation to start a new job in BC around 7 or 8 months into my first year. And so I basically had like a life in Toronto and then I started a new life elsewhere. And it was almost like I was tying up those loose ends right before I left. And um, so I think sitting my parents down, explaining what I had learned, and I don't even know. I sometimes I wonder if I could have done a better job of it, but I had like some pretty powerful moments with my folks. Like I could see so clearly where I'd been selfish, self-centered, judging, blaming, having never been a parent myself. Um, you know, a solid decade and a half into like living in a way where I should have known better. But like again, it's addiction, so like limited knowledge of and lack of solution, so self-compassion. But realistically, I just like Scott said, having that like actual reflection through the eyes and like the soul of a mother to see clearly what that must have been like for his mother. Um,
Mhm.
this isn't the time to say, but think about what you did to me too. It's like that's not what this is not the time for that. This is 100% me taking ownership and responsibility. And I don't know, I felt a huge sense of relief and hope. I was so unbelievably happy and relieved, like, to know that there was a solution to this. Like, after living like that daily for a long time, it's like being let out of prison. Like, I was ready. I wanted to. I mean, I'd be very careful to say what I'm about to say. I think it's you have to use discernment when you say what I'm about to say, but like, thank God worse things didn't happen because it was bad. Like it wasn't, but like I thank God for my level of courage at the time. I was able to, at least to the degree in which I was able to at the time, face and take responsibility for my part of things. Because I got so much out of it. Like I was restored with a whole new level of hope. I felt like I can totally move forward now. Like I
Mm.
can move forward now. I'm allowed to live now. I'm allowed to try to be this new being living out of a different part of my soul. And that's what I got from that. Like the most beautiful moment, maybe one of the most beautiful moments I've ever had in my life with my dad. Um, just two guys shaking hands, being like, we know we've each fallen short, and just like a total openness. We had like a powerful conversation after, and then I moved away, and it was just like, holy shit, like it was just incredible. I don't know, the timing was pretty neat. But that's an example where I definitely felt hope and faced the dragon.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Fill Your Boots Scoots. Each amends is a moment of courage, a choice to rise from the wreckage and build something sacred in its place. When have you felt the power of facing someone with both humility and hope?
Mm. So, also my dad. Uh, um, so when I was first in recovery, I would have had at this point, um, probably around 9 or 10 months, and I was doing my first set of steps, but so my dad and I had a pretty rocky relationship for most of my life, and it was at a point where I was clean and he was still using, but it was making an amends. And what I had done, because I was working nights at a treatment center, so I had a lot of spare time. So I decided that the best way for me to encapsulate my thoughts would be to write him a letter.
Mm.
So I wrote him a letter, uh, and I gave it, or I was talking about it with a coworker, and we skimmed through my letter that I had written him, and my letter was all, "I forgive you for this, I forgive you for that," right? Like I like somehow that would be enough for, right, or that would be the right thing to do. And he's like, why don't you ask him forgiveness for the stuff that you've done,
Man.
right? And so I wrote another letter, and I included the shit things that we've done to each other, and
Yeah.
um that that letter was instrumental in that letter was like the catalyst that put us on the right path to becoming a father and son again.
That's wild.
So
That's
Love
so
it.
awesome.
Okay, when have I felt the power of facing someone with both humility and hope? My very first amends I did was to my wife. And she
Mm.
was trying to demand amends the week I got out of options.
Yeah,
I, I
where is
was,
it?
I was, no, no. She's like, I deserve it. I want it now. Step up. Come on. Like it was almost like And I literally had to get her to call Susie because
Wow.
I was like, I'm not ready for this. Like I knew from how I was falling short immediately when I got out that that I needed more time. Like I really did.
Fair
And
enough.
yeah, I don't recommend ever doing a demand at demands like that. I just anybody out there, I'm like, talk to your sponsor, but I guarantee they're probably going to be like, hold on, sucker. Anyway,
Yeah.
but when I was finally ready, like when I was ready, she was the first one I did, and
Nice.
and you know what? She was the one that I probably hurt the most. Like the worst of my addiction didn't occur for me in my teens or my 20s before I met her. Like then I would say that I was borderline manageabling my life. And the wreckage was way less than the
Yeah.
last few years. I didn't really get into hard drugs until I was 30. Like so that was when, and I literally got together with her when I was 29. So
Yeah.
she got the whole enchilada of that part of my life. And I was definitely tail between my legs going into that. Like, my humility was high because I knew that I had done some just inconsiderate things, like so inconsiderate of
Mm.
how it would affect her. And repeatedly, and the dishonesty was so large. And man, like hope was on a very high spectrum before that amends of like
Yeah.
hoping, like um of hoping that our relationship could be salvageable, you
That's a
know?
good
And
motive. Yeah.
because honestly, like I think some people who start their relationships after they get sober have it a lot easier than people who have to regain trust
Yeah.
and rebuild things like that you've damaged. It's easier to be like, hey, I'm this different person. Let's start from here. But
I agree.
but when it's with somebody who's had 22 years of your shit before that, you know, like I honestly feel like trust building will be a lifelong exercise from now on.
Maybe. Yeah.
Like and so, as much as there was a direct amends made, I think that my indirect amends are really the proof in the pudding with her, and over and over and over and over. Like
Yeah.
it's gonna be a multi-decade living amends,
Wow.
and one of them will be me staying straight for the rest of my life. Like that
Yeah.
will be just what I would call a perpetual living amends, you know,
Yep.
because and it's so funny though. Like there's times now where we'll be talking and she's just like, man, she's like, I just can't believe it. Like, there's so much less fear and anxiety in her days from me
Thank
being
God.
straight.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, truly. And
Yeah.
yeah, so I think that's my answer to that one.
Thank you for sharing that, man. Like, what a gift. And like, isn't that the actual like hope for the entire thing for yourself and the ones that love you? And like maybe someone you don't even
Mm,
know yet. Like, I that's the stuff that gets me riled up. Like when you see families at meetings for people taking
Mm-hmm.
their whatever you call them anniversaries, like
mm,
that's when I just go like, holy shit, you can see it.
yeah,
Yep.
You can see
Yeah.
the restoration and the opportunity for like things that we always wanted to see actually have a possibility, you know?
absolutely. And I think I think that like the verbal amends, to be quite honest, to me, the verbal part of the amends talk is cheap, but what I feel like is big part of the function of it is when you're establishing a template for like you're making them part of being an accountability cycle in your life.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, like, this is what I should have done, and this is what I want to do in the future,
Yeah.
right? Now you've actually verbalized with them how you want to be. And I feel like it's a little bit of like an accountability play inside that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And so and
You're
it's healthy to have like people to be accountable for.
It's imperative.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And that could be the literal beginning of a long recovery period, or the actual like detriment of all. Because if you plant that seed of integrity and intention and then you screw it up, then like some people do eventually say like, wish you all the best, and like definitely I'm happy to see you trying to do this in your life, but like, see ya.
Yeah. And you got
Yeah.
to be prepared for that, right?
Yeah,
Like, it's not like everybody's like, go, Bryant, go, Bryant. Hey, Bryant, you were such a dick, but go, Bryant, go, Bryant.
yeah,
Like, it's not like there's like a soccer stadium full of people going, give me a
yeah,
B, give me an R, give me a
yeah,
Y.
yeah,
Brian's going to give it a try. Like,
yeah. Entirely willing.
yeah. Not everybody's open minded, and nor do they care after they're hurt. Some of them, you know?
Very true. And that's another thing about that's the gift of this entire thing. We also know what it's like to hold a resentment. We get a chance to do something about it.
Yeah.
Like, we know what that does to us. So if that person chooses, and you never know, right? I mentioned in a long time ago, I had my very last attempted amends. The last person on my list took it took 8 or 9 years for that to trickle in,
Yep.
unprovoked. I
Yep.
planted the seed 9 years back. Crazy. So you
Yep.
might not get the result you're hoping for right off the bat, but if you stay true to the process, throw that name in that hairy God box, and you never know, it might sprout out.
Ooh. Man, my hairy God box, I like stuffed that sucker.
Overflowing.
You know, like it's like I'm gonna have to make it like Kevlar so it just doesn't rip, you know?
Yeah.
No, I've decided though that I'm gonna burn it when it's full and then just start another one. I don't want to see what's in it because I'm truly trying to give it away.
Go for it, man. Burn
Yeah,
that box.
I like my little box, man.
They're
Even
nice.
I got my wife. She's probably gonna start using that box. She's like, what would I put in there? And I'm like, oh, I'm like
Lots.
all this stuff that's bugging you today. Let's just get rid
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Harry. He was
Harry.
so awesome.
I
Man.
would like. Is he alive?
No, he passed away about 2 years ago.
Oh
He
man, I
kind of went
wanted to
into,
meet Harry. I wanted to have Harry on the show.
dude, he worked for NASA. The
NASA.
Yeah, straight up. Like, he was like a physicist. He kind of went a little into isolation after the pandemic stuff, and then made a few appearances, and then he passed. He was
Wow.
in his late 80s.
Well, God bless Harry, and thank you for the legacy of your box.
Yeah, no, it was really smart. Yeah,
Yeah, I got love for Harry.
it was so smart.
Yeah,
He understood it. He understood it.
Harry got it.
Yeah.
Harry got it.
He could see the, like, he met me like 8 years ago. So, and I would sit beside him, and he could see like, I was like wrestling with, I just wanted to like get it all done and have everything go perfectly. And he's like, you're not going to be the reason. He was basically saying like, as long as you want to be the reason, that's not going to work out. He basically was saying you need to like erase you and
Yeah,
give it up to the higher power.
yeah. Get the box. Get the box. Give it to the box, man.
Yeah, or stop trying to like be a magician. Like, just do the next thing, like
Yeah,
trying to fix everything.
yeah.
Yeah.
You got a question for Scotty?
Yeah, sorry, that was a bit of a
No,
detour.
no.
Yeah,
I was the one who started the Harry part.
you did. Okay.
Hey, love you
This is sort
guys.
of this is sort of like, sometimes I always say like, oh, my question, but um can you see the wisdom in taking responsibility for the past?
Yes. There's a what is it? We do not wish to forget the past nor shut the door on it. Right.
Close the door. Yeah. Yep.
Right. So it's really important, I think, to be able to follow the breadcrumbs of the past up until where we are now. So we
Yeah.
figure out, like, and the steps are incredibly good at this, but figuring out like why we work the way we work, what makes us tick, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is taken from examples of our past. Like what's molded us into who we are today.
Yes.
So I think there's a lot of it's a very good practice, but I don't think you should become hyper focused on it.
No.
Right? I think it's important to know. I mean, the bottom line is it doesn't matter what cards we've been dealt. We just have to play them to the best of our ability. So,
Nice.
actually, could you repeat the question real quick?
Yeah, I was
I love that so much.
that was beautiful. Yeah, just the question is just can you see the wisdom in taking responsibility for the past? I mean, within reason. Your part.
Yeah. Um, I had something else brewing in the brain sauce, but it's not coming out, so I'm gonna
No
pass.
problem.
I
Let
love
it
you.
marinate.
I
Yeah.
love you. Okay, can you repeat the question,
Can
Brian?
you see the wisdom in taking responsibility for the past? Making
Oh,
correct
yep,
what you can?
yep. And it was like I'm kind of on my opening statement. This
Yeah.
really, I feel, ties right into that. Is that until I can clear that out as my like primary source of association with people and places and things from the past,
Yeah.
like until I can wipe that away, I'm still going to be seeing myself through that lens, or
No
that
question.
tainted
Yeah.
lens of
Yeah.
being a liar, of being dishonest, of being hurtful, of being intolerant, of being coveting neighbors' wives and stuff, and like and basically uh the program is really designed for us to exist in the present moment, seeing how we can serve that moment with honor and respect.
Well said.
And so I'll never be present living in the past, ever.
Hmm. Hmm.
And that was, like my like shit pile had gotten so big. It had gotten so big it was above my eyes. And all I saw through was the Milan shit pile. Like it was
No question.
that was my entire image. And it was filtering my vision so thickly that it was like I couldn't see good in the world.
No question.
I was catastrophizing almost every situation by the time I came into recovery, and then lamenting so many things that happened. I was like, I was certain that the world was just not giving me a break. I,
Same.
like the should and the deserve were like all over all my pity party sentences.
No
and
doubt.
and and it was getting to the point where that was literally like defining my relationships with people. I had pity party partners out there where it was like, man, we would call each other up, we would pity party. I tried to have the greatest pity party, so did he. And we would both leave like, my day was worse than his, like in that prideful same, like, like you were saying earlier, Scotty, about, being the worst of the worst. Well, my day was the worst of the. You wouldn't believe today. I was just should have, like, I deserve better. Can the universe not give me a break? Like, man, like, I just remember these phrases, like, echoing, and now looking back and thinking, fuck, I must have been horrible to be around.
Mm.
You know, like, that would be so toxic. Like, to me right now, it's like, when somebody's 100% mess and no message, you know and
Yeah.
it's just like I'm like, just kind of like, ooh boy, I could take
Yeah.
it. I could take it, trying to sit through it.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I think I'm trying to live presently now, and
Nice.
not in the past. So Yeah, and the wisdom is that we need to get rid of that in order to be present.
No question.
Mm, yeah. And you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I could have moved forward. I don't think I could have. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think I could have
Mm-hmm.
grabbed the opportunity with the same uh, momentum. I think if I had not, like, it was important for me to like be because it becomes a subtle foe underneath all. Like, these thorns don't come out on their own. Like, you know, even if you were blind or ignorant to like the facts of like, I mean, a lot of us are like, I had no idea I was damaging so many people. It's like I was sort of aware. I mean, if I'm honest, like I knew. I just always had. I always justified it. Like always. I mean, I literally said that classic line to my mom once. I was like, "You would drink if you had the life I have." And she's just like, "Okay, pal." Like and
Yeah.
like I knew when I was being a drag in relationships, and I knew when I was showing up hungover 5 days a week. Like you're paying someone to be like half a human being at work, and so I mean, maybe I got lucky because I was in my 20s and I like maybe I still worked hard enough to make up for that. But the fact is, like, that's bullshit, like if you really, that's another thing. Hey, it's like it's up to you how deep you want to go with being honest. Like you could be
Yeah.
like, well, I still worked really hard and you weren't paying me enough anyway. It's like, okay, or you could just take responsibility for being a bag of shit at work every day.
Mm.
Like,
I
which one do you want?
I remember being like, they picked him on that crew because he was French. And it was like,
Yeah.
no, because he didn't drink or do drugs, like, and showed up every
Yeah.
day. Like
Yeah.
I look back and I'm like so delusional on that shit.
Hey man, we are lost
I
at
worked
sea.
harder than him, yeah, for half an hour one day in an
Yeah,
afternoon.
yeah. That one day.
Oh, one day, man, I've been riding that for years.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, maybe you are the type of person whose employer also had an addiction, so be it. It's like, but again, like we got to do it for ourselves, like not for ourselves, but we got to do our part. So the wisdom is so real for me because like if I hadn't made amends with the past, I don't think I would have been as inspired to move forward. I think my faith level would have been diminished quite a bit because like my faith comes from integrity. I'm not playing, man. Like I know I have a lot of work to do, but like I want it to be crisp. I want it to be clean. Like I want to make as right as like everything is possible, right as possible, so that I can exercise faith on a level that I can't otherwise. Like I can't walk into a job interview. I can't, um, you know, do some of the things I want to do with the courage if I'm deep down feeling like if only they knew you were this bag of shit, like I need to be as crisp and as clean as I can be with my
Mm.
relationship with myself and life. And that comes through trusting the process. Like I really do want to believe that we all will be humbled in our own time in our own way, you know. Like so it was my time and I was so grateful to have an opportunity to do that and I just see it as such a necessary part for moving forward. Not to dwell,
Yeah.
not to continue to like once it's done.
Hmm. And and that's part of where it's like that, not to shut the door on our past, right? Like,
Yeah.
that what I see that as, like, yeah, I did that. And now I'm doing this. And that acknowledgement of it and the wisdom to be doing that new thing
Yeah.
is how we want to keep the door open on the past.
Yeah.
Like, we don't want to repeat our mistakes over and over because it's become a habitual action over however many years of our life. And the only way to do that is to not forget how we've changed.
No
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Scotty, do you got another point for us?
I do. First though, the my brain sauce figured out what I was trying to
Okay,
say.
good.
We
We're
knew it
ready.
would.
So
We call
this
you
is
Saucy Pants.
the So this is actually this is from a Rage Against the Machine song,
Okay.
right? And I don't know if you guys are familiar, but we're politically activated, right?
Yeah.
Um, and there's a line from one of their songs that, and I've listened to this song hundreds of times, and I always took it in the context that it meant politically. But I thought that it struck me the other day that it could be sent to a personal personal level as well. Um, who controls the past now controls the future. Who
Yeah.
controls the present now controls the past. So I have to be present now to be able to see my past with recovery goggles,
Yeah.
right? And but anyway, so I just thought of that. I thought it was cool.
That is
So
very cool.
here's a question I have on amends.
Okay.
Okay.
Uh, how do you make amends to yourself?
Woo. You
That
know,
is beautiful.
um,
Like either specific examples or in general, either or.
yeah. And so for myself, I would say that it's 90% living amends. Like I try to, I'm trying to see, and it's still, it's uncovering to me all the time, what, how, how little I thought of myself. Like,
Hmm.
and I don't mean that I wasn't self-centered. Like that's not what I mean. Like how low I was on the totem pole of life,
Hmm.
and like I've said it before, for me, like I had a higher power for songwriting, but I couldn't have one to save my life. Like a song was more important than me in
Hmm.
existence.
Sure.
And the number of nights that I sat there and was like, I'm going to die from doing this, and still did it.
Hmm.
Like I remember that thought, and just stupidly pushing forward. And so now it's about starting to care about myself,
Yeah.
and,
Hmm.
and so for me, it's things like trying to make sure I get good sleep, trying to make sure I'm eating better. I still like snacking. I'll admit that, but I've counteracted snacking with exercising now. Like
Hey, it's a good step forward.
what I've come to realize is that you can be relatively healthy by doing a lot of exercise and still eating some shitty things. But 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 you can not have exercise, and you can eat like amazing, and you will still not be healthy.
That's a good point.
Like your body needs to move a certain amount in
Yep.
order to have that right flow and that ability to exchange different toxins and whatever. And it doesn't matter. You can eat like a vegan princess sitting on an organic patty, and if you're not moving, your body's going to go into stagnation and start to decay. And like I might have been awake a lot in my addiction, but I definitely wasn't moving in the way that I am now, with like transpersonal blood flowing. Like my heart might have been pounding, but there was times where I sat for 12 hours inside that addiction.
No
you know and
question.
Hmm.
and that creates a stagnancy. And so now it's like, I'm pretty much 14 months no smoking, which was a
Nice.
big thing. And I'm really taking this fast walking to the extremes. I might become a professional fast walker. No,
Let's do it.
but and then also too for me is that I think that just staying so in the middle of my program is one of my amends to myself. Like
Nice.
I basically feel like not doing my program is like starting to commit suicide slowly.
Hmm.
You
Hey, I
know,
think you might be right.
and for me, it for sure is like I don't. You hear people say, like, oh, I got another relapse in me, but I don't know if I have another recovery. And it's like I don't even know if I want to find out. Like I just,
No.
I just, I'm so much happier not being there. and
The
it's only through the repeated action of my program, that's the only thing in my whole life that has kept me straight and happy ever.
beautiful.
Yeah. So I'm going to leave that there. And by the way, I love you guys a lot.
Love you too.
Like I missed you guys. I know it wasn't like we were away from each other for months, but it felt like a long time.
Nice little chunk.
Yeah.
Can he be chunky pants now?
Oh, I'll
Yeah,
be chunky
Bryant
pants.
Chunky Pants.
Oh, oh, here comes chunky pants.
Should I answer that?
Well, you should answer Scotty's question while I'm calling you chunky pants.
It was how do you make amends to yourself, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like learning to love yourself outside of it being based on how much you perceive that the world perceived you to be who you wanted them to see you to be. It's like okie dokie. And the other thing is like mine was always based on what was going well or not going well. So I had to find a way to care for myself outside of external ups and downs. You know, it's like it'd be like the same thing as loving your partner if you have one. um, um, basically, it's like depending on how they're performing, you care about them or not. The same way, like no love from a higher power, it can be so conditional. My love for myself was very conditional, and I think what happened was I could very clearly start to see that I love to tell the story of how I was hurting myself more than anybody else. Like my hangups were I wanted people to respect me and I was treating myself like shit. And it's like, so how do you expect the outside world to reflect back to you what you're not even doing for yourself? And that
Yeah.
turned a light on. And then the other thing is I just didn't want to harm myself anymore. I didn't want to poison my body anymore. I didn't want to wake up feeling like I had like once again gone swan diving into a basket of trash, you know, like knowing like this never works, but I'm going up there and I'm going to dive in. I'm just going to like guzzle my way to sleep and hopefully in the morning everything will be fine, you know. All these things are going to work themselves out while I'm sleeping.
I don't want
And
to harm myself anymore either.
yeah, but that's
Yeah.
the main thing. It's
I
like
know.
yeah, I don't want to hurt myself anymore. This beautiful line from a book. Um, you get to a place in your life where you no longer want to cause harm for yourself and other people. That's pretty powerful. That's like the golden rule. You know, it's like how often it's like it's like oh, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, unless it's business or unless it's
Unless
a
it's
traffic jam, unless you're the one that needs to get somewhere faster than everyone else. It's like, no, like do the rule at all times if you can. So we make exceptions, at least I did. And I'm trying to learn how to fine tune that thing where like you try to be integral in all circumstances. They say, practice these principles in all of our affairs. And so, I mean, for me, I'm hypersensitive to failure, or my perception of failure, or you know, wasting life. That's what it is. It's not even whether I'm like making lots of money or like creating something beautiful. It's like if I feel like I'm wasting my time, which, you know, a lot of people sometimes say you're not making the most of your time. It's up to you whether you're okay with that or not. And those are my fragile areas. But yeah, my amends came through no longer wanting to harm myself.
Love that. Scooter Saucy Pants Boots.
So yeah, I like what you guys had to say on that. I definitely feel like practicing the principles in all my affairs and taking care of my recovery is a big chunk of that self amends. Um, I was gonna say though that this is this is part of a larger saying, but that patience with self is love.
That's lovely.
So so having patience with myself and learning to treat myself with kid gloves and not be that harshest critic anymore
Yeah.
is that changing that inner narrative,
Yeah.
right? That's a big amends to myself because then I have less amends to make to myself, basically.
Very nice. Yes.
I love that. Yeah.
Just realizing now that 2 names have pants and 2 names have sauce. That's pretty special.
But it's we're all the same, right? So we're all a little bit of each other.
Yeah, that's true.
And really, we're all related to Saucy Pants Boots,
The gatekeeper.
the gatekeeper. Okay, I've got a question. Woo. Okay, how? Okay, making amends reconnects us to humanity. One apology, one repaired bond, one honest moment at a time. What relationship in your life has started to mend because of the work you're doing? Baron Chunky Pants.
I never thought I'd embrace this madness. I'm gonna hit you with all of them.
Whoa.
Um, um, also, like a really interesting thing is the willingness to let go of ones that you've already like, hoped were gonna be or thought should be or continue to be. Like you, with maturity and time, you start realizing what a realistic expectation is for yourself and other people. Like I had this group of friends, I thought for sure we'd go on fishing trips till we were 87, and half of them I don't talk to anymore, and it's not because they did something wrong or they did something wrong. It's just like lived in different provinces for a decade, have kids, like totally different interests. It's like it's just how it goes. It's not personal. I think depersonalizing those things is incredibly powerful because then it allows you to like not mourn. It's like, where are these people? I called them last. It's their turn to call me. It's like, please stop. Like, God, it's so boring to live like that. It's like I I the ones that are important, they come through my soul and my mind. They're either directly in front of me or I know they take a little effort. So it's like, am I willing to do what it takes to have a healthy relationship? And like, am I coming at it from this, you know, better place, more realistic, less ego driven, less self-centered place? And like, if that's the case, those relationships seems to be going in the right direction. They seem to be building a deeper foundation. There's more vulnerability. There's a lot more like equalness, like kind of like respecting each other's boundaries, allowing each other to make mistakes, but still keeping that connection. Not kind of like connected, disconnected, connected, disconnected. Like I don't like the way that you spoke to me on the phone, disconnected. It's like nothing's more powerful than having like 24 to 48 hours go by and either yourself or the other person be like, let's try to do something about that. You know what I mean? I love that Sep 10 sort of thing. Yeah, I would say that I know my limitations in certain relationships that I wish were more healthy, and that's sometimes a little bit because of someone else's lack of being able to maintain health in their own life. But that's exactly where you turn your will in your life over to the care, right? Like I'm turning that over to the care. I know that there's like you hear very often people say like everything works out in the end. It's like I'm not sure about that, to be very honest. I think that they definitely work out. Some things just go out, and I don't know. I don't mean to be pessimistic. I just think there's like a new way of understanding and appreciating life without always getting results that you thought should be the results. It's like, some people do die of drug overdoses. Some people don't get well. Some parents don't, whatever. And some relationships don't, whatever.
Mm.
But does that mean that we throw it all away? Like, that's how I used to live. I'm like, this shit never works out. Like you said, Milan, you said that story. You're like, things don't work out. Life's got to hit out on me. Like, it's like, shit, man. Like, do I throw it all away because somebody else decided to like throw it all away?
Yeah.
You can't. You can't.
I love that. Making amends reconnects us to humanity. One apology, one repaired bond, one honest moment at a time. What relationship in your life has started to mend because of the work you're doing? Saucy pants.
Um, okay, so I have an interesting follow-up to this question. Uh, the One of my talking points. Anyway, though, I think the best way for me to answer this question is with an example again from my mother. So I can remember I was a few years in, and um, I wanted to go to school, try to finish the degree that I started when I was younger, and this was a beautiful point in my recovery because we were talking about it over the phone, and she goes, "I trust you to make the right decision,"
Nice.
and that was a moment, right?
Mm,
Because there was a long time that I couldn't make my own decisions. I've
mm.
even been in a situation where the government of Alberta has decided that I can't live on my own, that I have to be in a hospital,
Wow.
right, as a formal patient for a while. So
Wow.
to have somebody say like, I trust you to make your decision, that's pretty powerful.
No doubt.
Absolutely. I love that. You're done?
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure, but oh, man, I love that. I love what both you guys have said, and I love both you guys. And um, making amends reconnects us to humanity. One apology, one repaired bond, one honest moment at a time. What relationship in my life has started to mend because of the work I'm doing? Well, you know, I would say that I wouldn't say all, like Bryant said, because I feel that mostly in my recovery has been my relationship with myself and with my family.
Nice.
Most of my friends still remain in whatever capacity that they're partying in, and whether they're normies or not, I'm to be honest, uh, I'm not hanging out with people partying.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not that I resent them for it. It's
No.
just that my couple experiences with it really just have left me kind of bored when I'm there, and that's
Yeah.
okay. You know,
Yeah.
like that's absolutely okay to be there as well, and it's okay to be here as well. So I
Yeah.
would say that for me, a big one is with myself. Like I feel like that's a real slow going one. I think I got to a point of really not doing esteemable things and not having self-esteem.
Hmm.
And that one is I see I see is holding me back from some of my other relationships mending. Like that needs so much work that I feel that I like, that I'm trying to love myself again. And really, that's going to open the door to greater love in my other relationships.
Mm.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Baron, do you have a question for Scooter?
I do. Huh. The question is, what has been your greatest gift having made amends?
Hmm. I think the first thing that comes to my mind is just my parents. Like
Mm.
being able to be there for my dad when he was fading and on his last legs. Being able to have a relationship with him when he was around was really big.
Yeah, it's huge.
And with my mother, because she I wasn't always good to her, but we have a pretty strong relationship now, so that's cool.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Um, I want to include my higher power in there though too, right?
Nice.
Like I don't know necessarily that I would make amends to my higher power, but I know that in working a program and doing what's suggested and what's worked for me, that I get to have a relationship with my higher power today, and it's a pretty special thing. So it's gonna
Beautiful.
be more, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you get to. By the way, yeah, no, that's good. I'm good. That's what I have to say.
Those are very lovely gifts, I'd say.
Yeah.
Milan, what is the greatest gift that you've received from making amends?
Freedom.
Nice.
Oh,
Nice. Nice.
Freedom. You know, continuing in the process of these steps, it was, it's been a long process of the wreckage of my past, right?
yeah.
And I've been working at a lot of stuff, and we've talked a lot, and like I've told you about stress and anxiety and different things, and it was like honestly Friday morning, I woke up and a couple things had like changed that I'd been struggling with, and it was like I had a profound sense of freedom.
Very
I had a
nice.
profound sense of freedom. Whatever my songs that day were all about freedom. I was gifted three songs, and it, it's unbelievable the feeling of freedom, even when nothing external has changed, but it's happened inside.
That's the shit. Yes.
Like if anybody looked at me, there's like, oh, there's Milan from Tuesday. And I'm just like, no, it's Freedom Friday. I'm in a whole different place. You know what I mean?
Nice.
And and part of that, not part of it, all of it is due to being part of this program and doing the steps,
No
really.
question.
And I haven't told Scotty this yet, but I had this really
Oh yeah.
profound moment with the universe where it's been a couple of weeks. I've been really trying to guide my prayer for praying gratitude for things that I even don't have. It's been a big part of my journey of my surrender. And on Thursday I was walking, and I'm praying kind of the usual list of things that I have, and then I kind of like inside my own head, but then I looked up, and I was just like, it's really beautiful where I live, and on the road I walk on, and I like to pray while I'm walking these days, and I was like, praying gratitude for the beauty that was there, and then I said, and thank you for this beautiful breeze, because I walk fast, and it cools me off, and it just went whoosh, like it was like it responded. And then I was
Yeah.
like, whoa, I was like, thank you for this sign. And then it goes whoosh, and hits me again. And then I was like, thank you for this connection. And I'm like almost in tears. And it goes whoosh, and it blows in front of me, and it comes up and comes behind me and does this whoosh, swirl behind me. And I was just like literally touched by the universe at that point.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was it was to me like it was like the universe spoke back to me. And
Yeah.
and that's the fucking gift of recovery.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave that there. I don't even know if I answered the question, but it's really not the point of this episode. The point is that we're just sharing.
Yeah.
Um,
Who's
Oh.
up now?
I think Brian has to answer his own question.
Oh, sugar.
Is
Yeah.
he? Oh, sugar. Sweet and sour, Wakely.
Pants.
Oh, sugar.
Um, I feel like you guys.
You work in a diner?
Ooh, sugar.
Sugar, please.
You like some apple pie after that?
Yeah, yeah. You're gonna need a dessert menu, please.
I'll take it all.
Um, yeah, I think I feel very similarly. I think freedom. Ooh. Like I think the human soul is seeking unregulated existence. So like if you live within the rules, knowing that they're integral to like the function of the higher power's creation, I don't care if I sound whatever. It's just a fact. I don't care. Like if you live in those rules, it's for our best. So whatever that independent, like trying to get my needs met, have the coolest life ever, be like the one who sets all the records, like, okay, like throw 30 beers into that and see how far it gets you. It's like, I'm going to go drinking and driving. And just because I want to go out right now, it's like, okay, buddy, so there's consequences, thank God, because I guess it's like kind of an illusion in free will. It's like, yes, but there's like bumpers. there's like actual things you can bump into to keep you in the right area. And if you don't listen, you probably die. But I'm being a little harsh today just because I think it's important to like be honest about how serious this is.
You got to carry Harry's torch.
Yeah, and so the gift that I've received is the ability to like move forward with less restrictions, and like I don't want to feel shame. And I'll be honest with you, when people remind me of what I did 10 years ago, I kind of clap back. I'm like, don't be tethering me to things I've made right. Don't, like, this has been dealt with. And I mean, I still have to check myself and not create new disturbances. But like when someone's like, oh, when you did this 15 years ago, I'm like, that's been dealt with. They say we don't crawl before our fellows. It's like that's been dealt with. And it gives me the ability to speak with, like, I can speak with more power because I am not living in chronic fear. And like, I was literally disabled before. Disabled, brother. And it's no disrespect to anybody who has any functional impairments. I live with one myself. I am being honest. When you are an addict, when you are alcoholic, you are disabled, my friend. Like, and so like, basically, like, to have the power to speak with confidence, and not because I feel like I'm better than anyone else, it's because I feel like I'm actually a person again. Like, that's a huge gift,
Yeah.
because the ambition collides. So it's important to be able to stand your ground.
I love that.
Yeah.
Like, man, you call yourself ranting, but I like it. I like when you just get all hot and saucy.
Yeah.
Muy picante.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. So, do you have another point, Saucy Pants Booters?
I do. So we've talked about making amends for things that we did before our addiction took over. And during our addiction, what's the process you go through now making amends for things you've done in recovery?
Oh,
it's fast. Like, it's fast. Like, I literally made amends on one of these episodes with something I said to someone on the episode while before the episode even ended. Like, for me, I'll make amends maximum an hour and a half to 2 hours now. Like, I won't be able to even carry it. It'll drive me crazy. I'm like, unless I don't realize till later,
Sure.
But most of the things I'm making amends for now is reaction instead of response.
Yeah.
And that's pretty clear to me. Like, the ego's still there going,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, you fucking deserve to say, like, or whatever. And I say something and I know I'm saying the wrong thing, but it takes me like a minute to step back, cool down, and then make the amend. But I'll own it. I'll be like, I don't want to be around somebody like that. I'm like, I'm trying. And sometimes just stepping away is the best that I can do.
Yeah.
To not worsen it, and that's okay, because it would have been worse before. And so
No
yeah,
doubt.
yeah. So for me, my amends process now is pretty rapid, and I like that because it's like, similar to before when I was saying that there's an accountability to it.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying not to. I'm not even enjoying to see that happen from me, and my own what is it, the word I'm thinking of? My own reaction to my own actions
Yeah.
is almost like the prod that's moving me away from that action.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, ooh, get out of there! Don't do that. You know.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's my process these days.
Very cool.
Baron Chunky Pants. You want to?
um, yeah. So the two things that I think I'll talk about the challenge and then also like the beauty of you know being courageous to do that now without as much resistance, but also like very quickly can discern whether it's me or someone else. Um, So when you go through a tough time, and I mentioned, it's eventually people are going to be like, "How long is your tough time going to last?" But this is a phase type moment in my life. It's not something that goes away overnight. So projecting my pain onto others now could happen a lot more easily because I'm like up to here, so it's like bloop, instead of like from the toes up. You feel it in your kneecaps. You got plenty of space, but when it's like already here and it's already cutting off your air, I'm just like, don't do it. Don't fucking say that to me, because like I am right here. Um, and so to have that limited space because of tension, I got to be very careful that I don't project my pain onto someone else. I'd be very easy to do. And there's been a couple abrasive moments with some like, feeling misunderstood in this season of my life, but for the most part, handled fairly well. So that's calling myself out on, the current moment, having been sober for a while, like just being honest that it's still a challenge not to create or project. Um, but yeah, I definitely think like that whole pride thing, like that thing's been squashed quite nicely. I definitely can face the music and take responsibility now, even if it sucks. Even if I'm like, this should never have happened. If you hadn't said this, like you put me in a position where I had no choice. It's like, nope, forget it. Just do what's right and make amends. You know, like stop telling yourself a story as to why your response to something else, wouldn't have happened if they hadn't done this or that. Nope. Like make it right. Go for a walk. Forgive yourself.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So like being a lot more vulnerable to accepting my part in things, even when I'm like kind of certain like this should never have happened and it was your fault. you know, the my part thing is wild. It'll change you forever. You can't exist the same way.
I could never unsee it.
Yeah, it's heck of a.
I'd never unsee it. That was the thing. I'm like, oh, now I'll be different forever.
And
like,
it's you.
like even if it's just in my own perception of myself. Like, and you, Mr. Scooter,
Mm, yeah, no, I think that, see, before addiction, I was ignorant. During addiction, I was fucked up. Now that I'm in recovery, I don't have those excuses for my behavior anymore.
Yeah.
So
Ooh. It's
that's where it stings a little bit, right?
yes, sir.
And my ego doesn't like it,
No.
you know. But I think that it's the way it's laid out in the program that get on, like Milan was saying, like get on that shit when it happens. Don't let it
Yeah.
sit. Um, One thing that I find interesting though is that in the process of me realizing that I've done something that's I would feel like almost against your moral code, I guess you could say,
Yeah.
but I'm able to trace it back to its root defect now, right? So like
Well said. Yeah.
Like if it's, let's say it's people, like say I sacrifice time and money to help somebody that, I may not even like. It's just people pleasing. But I can
Yeah,
figure out that it's people pleasing, and I can go back and say like, well, I'm people pleasing because I'm looking for approval and acceptance because I didn't get enough of it when I was a kid.
sure.
Stuff like that, right? It's just stuff like that. So I just think it's interesting though because, and this is my favorite part of step 10 actually. The step 10 says when we were wrong, not if we are wrong.
Yeah, I like when you point that out.
That hits home for me. So
Yeah,
that's that's it for my question. Yeah.
I love
nice.
that. Uh, I just want to check in. Where's everybody's time constraints lie today?
For me, as soon as possible because I got to get working. But
Okay.
like, I have 10 minutes.
Okay. So, how about I ask one more question and we just do it on a 3 minute clock?
That's lovely.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
Okay. Just give me 1 second here. Also, too, I would like to check in about next Monday for you boys and doing the
I'm good.
topic beliefs.
Yeah,
Whoa.
I'm good for that.
Okay. Um, Here we go. What part of your past are you beginning to face with open hands instead of closed fists?
Hmm. Who's up?
Who's it up?
Baron Chunky Pants.
Oh, oh, Lord, Lord. Um, Jeez. I'm just gonna take a second.
Yeah.
Like a specific thing. I think anywhere where I've done something that is like wildly out of character. Um, I'm not gonna give anything too specific here. That was done in my step five, but I just I just appreciate that I didn't know better. And if I did, I was like not in a healthy state of mind and body. I always come back to thank God nothing worse happened because it was like stuff that I could never have imagined for myself, but it's stuff that can be gently put to rest in the past. Like it's not gonna come tap on my shoulder in 15 years. Like I'm just so grateful that I don't have some like haunted thing that's gonna come and like you know how like people say they're just waiting for the other shoe to drop or
Mhm.
like things are going so well. It's like I think a lot of that is fear. I think that the shoe's gonna drop. Everybody, like get ready because it's gonna drop. Everything's temporary. Everything changes. So I think the ability to let the past be the past. I have open hands; they're not clenched, and the ability to adapt to change better than I used to. Like this last season, I would have gone absolutely haywire. I would have literally destroyed myself and maybe a few other people if I wasn't sober.
Love that.
Guaranteed.
And Scooter Sauce. Um, I can't even not laugh. What part of your past are you beginning to face with open hands instead of closed fists?
Primarily my mental health,
Oh, nice.
and um, and as a what accompanies that is my health in a lot of other ways as well. So I feel like I'm wrestling with myself that uh I no longer wrestle with myself in the same way. I've always had a very adversarial approach to mental health, and it's changed into a more um, give and take role,
Cool.
if that makes any sense. And there's been multiple factors, but addressing physical health, mental health, spiritual health, kind of tying that all up into one thing. I'm
Yeah.
I'm at a point now where I'm taking that stuff in. I guess I would say that in this phase of my life, that stuff has gotten restructured via importance in my day to day.
Right.
Nice.
So really trying to practice the spiritual principles in all my affairs, trying to eat clean, you know, work out, lose weight,
Good for you, brother.
medication adjustments, that kind of stuff. So I think that my ability to make amends to myself encapsulates self care to the extreme almost. So
Right on.
I'm really coming to feel that self-care to the extreme is part of practicing the principles in all our affairs. Like it's
yeah,
a
Yeah.
form of
yeah,
dishonesty to say we're living clean and filling ourselves with garbage and not exercising, and like we're literally not honoring the vessel that we're given. it, it,
yeah.
it might
Quite
not it
true.
might not be getting you high, but like it's addictive patterns. And I mean, I'm part of it, but I'm definitely way nicer to myself than I've ever been in my whole life.
Mhm. Yeah,
Beautiful.
one of the I have a friend, and he says whenever he sees somebody smoking, he goes, one day you'll love yourself enough to quit.
God damn, boy.
And that's like, yeah, I agree. Okay, what part of my past am I beginning to face with open hands instead of closed fists? And I really was beating myself up for where my life got to, you
Hmm.
Yeah.
know, and and more so than anybody else was I approaching with closed fists, and even in the metaphorical or emotional state, like
Yeah.
I was like, oh, you wasted opportunity and you wrecked this and blah, you know, and I'm able now to start patting myself on the back for the changes that I'm doing,
Hmm.
like and trying to focus on my healing versus my pain or my damage, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
like that which you focus on becomes greater saying is trying to bring that into my own feeling of self-worth and
Perception change.
yeah, absolutely perception change, but also inner self dialogue change. Like
Yeah.
replacing that past talk to actually talking about the present.
Nice.
And the changes are coming about more rapidly with more positive self dialogue.
It's
Like
amazing.
it's said that you're never going to stop the negative self dialogue, but when you actively implant positive self dialogue, right, it becomes more of the story. Because you're
Absolutely.
like, if you leave a blank space, the negative part of your mind can fill that space all day long.
That's
So
right.
it's like you actively have to implant these
Yep.
positive phrases as well. And so it's something that I'm really trying to feel that gratitude in all moments. Like it's a real thing that I think is an absolute life changing thing. And one thing I know for sure is that I love you guys. Every time we get together, I learn something. I enjoy our time. I feel more whole in my heart after.
Me too.
And anybody want to say anything before we sign off for today?
I've got a joke for us.
Oh yes, we need to. Is this a saucy boots joke or a scooter pants joke?
I don't know. um, so I bought some shoes for my drug dealer the other day. I don't know what he laced them with, but I've been tripping all day.
Tune in next
That's my
episode
fave.
for more recovery fun. Bye bye, everybody. Please help us help others. If you like what you've seen here today, please subscribe and share this podcast and help us get to 100 followers. We're looking for interaction with our audience. So please email recoveryfreedomrising@gmail.com or contact Milan South Okanagan Starcic on Facebook with questions, topic suggestions, or just comments. We'd love to hear from you.